Imagine waking up at midnight. It is freezing cold, pitch black outside your tent, and you are functioning on about half the oxygen you are used to at sea level.
Yeah, just half the oxygen. It's a brutal reality check.
Right. You switch on your headlamp, step out into the freezing wind, and prepare to start what will likely be the hardest physical day of your entire life.
I mean, it sounds like an absolute nightmare for most people, but for thousands of climbers every year, it is the exact moment they have been dreaming about.
It really is. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we are taking a stack of research and unpacking exactly what it takes to conquer the roof of Africa.
And we have some fantastic source material for this.
We do. Specifically, we are looking at a definitive guide provided by the ethical climbing company Vertical Sky, and we are breaking down their flagship path up Mount Kilimanjaro, which is the Lemosho Road.
It is such a fascinating route to analyze, too.
Exactly. So whether you are, actively planning your own expedition to Tanzania, or you are just an armchair adventurer who loves a gripping story of human endurance, our mission today is simple. We want to figure out how ordinary people achieve this extraordinary feat without any technical climbing skills.
To set the baseline here, we need to understand that the Lemosho route is it's a massive undertaking. We are talking about a 7 to 8 day trek.
Which is a long time to be on a mountain.
It really is. And you are camping in tents the entire way up. There are no pre-built huts waiting for you with a warm fire at the end of the day.
Right. No luxury lodges up there.
None at all. It is a rugged, demanding environment. Yet, despite those challenging conditions, Lemosho is widely renowned in the mountaineering community.
So reviews, right?
Exactly. It offers the absolute best scenery on the mountain and, maybe more importantly, one of the highest summit success rates.
Now, that success rate is where things get really interesting for me. Because before we can even talk about the brutal physical realities of summit night, we have to look at the beginning.
The starting line matters so much.
It does. We have to understand how this specific route is designed to set you up for success right from day one. And it all begins with the approach.
Spot on. The journey starts at the Lundarasi Gate, which is situated on the remote western side of Kilimanjaro. And, this geographical detail is crucial.
Why is the western side so important?
Well, on day one, you are trekking to Mkiti Mkubwa, which translates to Big Tree Camp. You are moving through these incredibly quiet, dense, montane rainforests.
Oh, wow. I love the imagery of that.
It is stunning. The air is thick and damp, the vegetation is lush, and climbers regularly spot colobus monkeys swinging through the canopy overhead.
I really love this part of the guide. I always think of this opening stage on Lemosho as getting early VIP access to a massive theme park.
That is a great way to put it.
Right, because if you look at the more popular southern routes, you are immediately thrust into the crowds. You're shoulder to shoulder with hundreds of other climbers right from the jump.
Yeah, it can be a traffic jam of hikers.
Exactly. But Lemosho, on the other hand, gives you the mountain almost entirely to yourself for those first few days.
The VIP access analogy is perfect, and it serves a really profound psychological purpose. I mean, think about what a climber goes through just to get to that starting line.
Oh, the logistics alone.
Right. They have navigated international flights, jet lag, bustling Tanzanian cities, and probably months of stressful preparation.
Just packing the right gear sounds stressful enough.
Exactly. So to immediately plunge into a crowded, noisy trail, it can be overwhelming. Lemosho acts as this sort of psychological decompression chamber.
Decompression chamber, I like that.
Starting your massive physical challenge in a peaceful, isolated environment sets a remarkably calm tone for the expedition. You get to find your rhythm, listen to your breathing, and actually connect with the mountain before the real suffering begins.
So you have this quiet, steady buildup in the rainforest. But then the environment shifts dramatically, doesn't it?
Oh, it is an incredibly stark transition. By days 2 and 3, you are climbing out of that enclosed, vibrant, green rainforest canopy.
And stepping out into the open.
Yes, stepping onto the open moorland of the Shira Plateau. It's like walking onto another planet altogether.
Just a complete ecosystem change.
Completely. Suddenly, you transition from seeing only a few feet in front of you to having these vast, sweeping panoramic views.
And that must be when reality sets in.
Oh, definitely. This is when the true scale of what you are attempting hits you, because the towering snow-capped summit of Kibo finally reveals itself in the distance.
It sounds beautiful, but Let's be real here for a second. Scenery alone is not going to carry anyone to the summit at nearly 19,000 feet.
No, scenery won't carry your backpack for you.
Exactly. Those opening days transition into what I see as the strategic core of the entire climb. The guide makes it very clear that Lemosho is categorized as a moderate trek.
Right. It is not a technical climb.
Yeah, you are not clipping into ropes with carabiners or swinging ice axes into a glacier. You're just walking. So the real enemy here isn't the terrain, it's the altitude.
Altitude is the ultimate great equalizer. It honestly doesn't care how many marathons you have run at sea level.
It just affects everyone differently, right?
Completely. As you ascend, atmospheric pressure drops. This means the air is physically thinner. So with every breath you take, your lungs are capturing significantly fewer oxygen molecules than they normally would.
Which sounds terrifying when you're trying to hike uphill.
It is tough on the body. To combat this, the Lemosho route profile utilizes a fundamental mountaineering strategy, which is climb high, sleep low.
Okay, let's unpack this mechanism because this is where the biology gets super fascinating for me. Day 4 is the ultimate test of this strategy.
It really is the turning point of the acclimatization process.
The guide outlines that climbers hike all the way up to an elevation of 4,600 meters at a landmark called Lava Tower. But they don't set up camp there.
No, they don't stay there at all.
Right. They intentionally hike back down to sleep at a much lower elevation at Barranco Camp. So why put in all that grueling effort to climb up just to walk back down again?
Well, it comes down to tricking your body into a state of hyperadaptation. When you hike up to Lava Tower, you are exposing your system to incredibly thin air.
And your body reacts to that stress.
Exactly. Your kidneys act like these internal oxygen sensors. When they detect this severe lack of oxygen, they hit the biological panic button.
The panic button?
Yep. They start releasing a hormone called erythropoietin, or EPO.
Wait, EPO? Isn't that the exact stuff those disgraced professional cyclists used to take to cheat in races?
It is exactly the same stuff. But in this case, your body is producing it naturally and, desperately.
That is wild. So what does the EPO actually do?
That EPO rushes to your bone marrow and stimulates a massive overproduction of red blood cells. And red blood cells are basically your body's oxygen couriers.
Okay, so you get more couriers to carry what little oxygen there is.
Precisely. By artificially forcing your body to realize it is starving for oxygen at Lava Tower, you kickstart that red blood cell factory.
But I'm guessing it takes time to build them.
It does. Your body cannot easily manufacture those cells while it is still under the severe stress of extreme altitude.
Ah, so that is why you descend to Barranco Camp.
You've got it. You provoke the adaptation up high, and then you retreat to the richer, thicker oxygen environment down below.
Giving your body a break, essentially.
Right. It gives your body the physical resources it needs to actually build those red blood cells while you sleep. So you wake up the next morning, biologically upgraded and better equipped to handle the thin air.
That makes perfect sense on a biological level.
Yeah.
But, this brings me to a huge point of pushback I had while reading the source material.
Oh, what was that?
The guide heavily emphasizes choosing an 8-day itinerary over a 7-day itinerary. And I just kept thinking, wait, hold on.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
Right. If I am already completely exhausted, my muscles are aching, I haven't had a proper shower in a week, and I am sleeping on the frozen ground in a tent, why on earth would I volunteer to stretch that ordeal out for an extra 24 hours?
It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Totally. Is paying more money for an extra day of suffering genuinely worth it?
The guide offers a brutally honest take on that exact question, and frankly, the mountaineering data backs them up completely.
Really?
Yes. That 8th day is the best money you will spend on the entire expedition, full stop.
Just one extra day makes that much of a tangible difference.
It dictates the entire outcome of your climb. Look, altitude sickness is not just a minor headache.
How bad does it get?
When it hits, it feels like the worst hangover of your life combined with a brutal case of the flu. You are nauseous, dizzy, completely drained of energy, and your brain feels like it is moving through molasses.
That sounds miserable, especially when you have to hike.
It is. An extra 24 hours spent on the mountain allows that red blood cell factory we talked about to run just a little bit longer.
So it's pure biological prep time.
Exactly. It noticeably improves your overall success rate. But more importantly, it dictates the condition in which you arrive at the summit.
So it's the difference between actually enjoying the accomplishment or just, like, barely surviving it.
Spot on. You can potentially rush up the mountain in 7 days, but you will likely arrive at Uhuru Peak, completely broken, miserable, and unable to even appreciate the sunrise.
Which is the whole point of going.
Right. When you are already investing significant time, effort, and financial resources into flying to Africa and undertaking this massive challenge, skipping a day is a bad idea.
A false economy.
Exactly. Compromising on the one physiological factor that guarantees your safety and well-being is a massive false economy.
Okay, so we reframe the extra day. It isn't a penalty. It is an investment in your own success.
That's a perfect way to look at it.
And once you have that acclimatization strategy locked in, the physical reality of the trail suddenly shifts gears again. On day 5, climbers are faced with something called the Barranco Wall.
Yes, the infamous Barranco Wall.
Now, just hearing the word wall immediately makes me picture a terrifying, sheer, vertical cliff face that I have to scale.
It is an intimidating name, certainly. And when you are standing at the bottom looking up, it appears incredibly daunting.
But I'm guessing it's not actually a cliff.
No, the guide describes the reality of climbing it quite differently. It is not technical rock climbing. It is characterized as a fun scramble.
A scramble meaning you actually have to use your hands to pull yourself up over the boulders.
Yes, exactly. For the first 4 days, you have essentially just been hiking, putting one foot in front of the other for hours on end.
Just walking, basically.
Right. But the Barranco Wall forces you to put your trekking poles away and use your hands to navigate the rock face.
That actually sounds like a nice change of pace.
It really is. It breaks up the monotony of walking. It requires focus and engages your whole body. For most climbers, it ends up being a deeply engaging, confidence-building milestone.
Yeah, you get good views, I assume.
Some of the most breathtaking views of the entire trip right before you finally roll into Karenga Camp.
But day 5 also brings a massive change to the atmosphere of the expedition, doesn't it? The VIP early access period officially ends.
It does. This is the point where the solitary, quiet Lemosho route physically merges with the Mashame route.
So the crowds finally show up.
Yep. You are embarking on the spectacular southern traverse, moving directly beneath the mountain's towering ice fields and glaciers.
That sounds incredible visually.
The scenery is stunning, but the trade-off is undeniable. The trail becomes significantly busier. You are suddenly sharing the path and the campsites with a lot more people.
Which raises a very pragmatic question for anyone trying to plan this trip. If the Lemosho route and the Mashame eventually merge and they end up sharing the exact same paths to the summit anyway, why wouldn't a climber just choose Masham from the very beginning?
It's a very logical question to ask.
Especially since the guide itself points out that Masham is a day shorter and a little cheaper.
It is, and the guide synthesizes the pros and cons beautifully here. Mashame is an excellent, highly successful route on its own.
But Lemosho is better.
Well, Lemosho offers climbers the absolute best of both worlds.
How so?
By choosing Lemosho, you are securing that quiet, highly scenic, gradual acclimatization period through the remote rainforest and across the Shira Plateau.
Right, the decompression chamber phase.
Exactly. You get to build your strength and get your altitude legs under you in total solitude. Then, and only when you are physically and mentally prepared, you join the Southern Traverse.
To get those glacier views.
Yes, to experience those spectacular world-famous glacial views on the way to the top. Yes, you're paying a slight premium in time and cost, but you are buying the best possible physiological foundation.
Which you really need before tackling the most demanding sections of the mountain.
You absolutely do.
And everything we have talked about so far, the slow start, the extra day of acclimatization, the climb high and sleep low strategy, the scrambling over the wall, all of it exists solely to make the events of Day 7 possible.
The climax of the whole journey.
Exactly. Day 6 is described as just a short hike to Barafu Camp, which acts as base camp. You get there, you eat, and you try to rest. Because Day 7, which is summit night, operates on a completely different scale of human endurance.
It is the ultimate test of all those physiological reserves you have been so carefully building over the previous week.
Reading the breakdown of summit night, it struck me as a grueling reverse Cinderella story.
Reverse Cinderella story. I love that.
Right, because instead of having a magical night that abruptly ends when the clock strikes midnight, your nightmare basically begins at midnight.
That is painfully accurate.
You are jolted awake in freezing temperatures. You step out of your tent into the pitch black, strap a headlamp to your helmet, and begin the hardest physical test of your life.
The Cinderella analogy perfectly captures the jarring reality of that wake-up call. Ascending to nearly 6,000 meters in the dark requires an extraordinary amount of mental fortitude.
I can't even imagine. You can't even see where you're going, really.
No, you can't see the summit at all. You can only see the illuminated heels of the person walking directly in front of you.
Just focusing on the next step.
Exactly. You are relying entirely on the rhythm of your breathing and sheer willpower to keep moving upwards into the thinning air.
But the payoff for that suffering is incredible. The goal is to push through the darkness and reach Uhuru Peak, the very top of Africa, at 5,895 meters, just in time to watch the sunrise over the curvature of the Earth.
It is a magical moment.
The pictures from the source material are absolutely staggering.
Reaching the summit at sunrise is an emotional high that climbers remember for the rest of their lives. But here is what truly underscores the necessity of all that careful pacing earlier in the week.
What's that?
Standing on the summit is only the halfway point of day 7.
Right. You don't just, teleport back to the hotel.
Not at all. Once you have taken your photos and soaked in the achievement, you have to immediately turn around and execute a massive, punishing descent.
On tired legs.
Very tired legs. You are hiking all the way down from the roof of Africa to the lower, much warmer Moeka camp in a single push.
That is a staggering amount of time on your feet. You are basically doing an ultramarathon day, climbing up into extreme altitude, and then jarringly descending through multiple climate zones without proper sleep.
Which is exactly why you needed that 8th day.
It all comes back to the pacing.
It does. You need deep, untapped reserves of energy for this final 24-hour window. If you had rushed the opening days or skipped that crucial day of acclimatization, this descent would be physically perilous.
Your legs would just give out.
They would turn to jelly. Your body would simply have nothing left to give. The entire structure of the Lemosho route is designed to ensure that when you face this colossal summit day, your body is actually prepared to answer the demand.
It makes total sense when you lay it out like that. It is also worth briefly highlighting how the guide addresses the logistics of this massive push.
The logistics are mind-boggling.
Right. Vertical Sky explicitly notes that their climbs are ethically run, which means fair paid for the crews and providing emergency oxygen on every climb.
That is such a vital point to mention.
Yeah, because when you visualize what it actually takes to get a group of climbers up and down that mountain-moving heavy tents, carrying food, setting up base camp, and guiding people through that midnight push in the freezing dark, the physical toll on the local crews is immense.
It is the invisible engine that makes the entire enterprise function. The porters and guides are enduring the exact same altitude and the exact same rough terrain.
But they are doing it with extra weight.
Exactly. They are carrying the heavy infrastructure of the expedition on their backs. Providing fair conditions and proper safety equipment isn't just a nice background detail.
It's essential.
It is the fundamental logistical reality of operating safely in that extreme environment.
Absolutely. Once that massive descent is finally over, Day 8 brings the journey to a close. It is a much more relaxed, final hike down through the forest to Moeka Gate.
A literal walk in the park compared to the day before.
Right. You get your summit certificate and, according to the guide, a very well-deserved, very good hot meal is waiting for you at the bottom.
A meal that will likely taste better than anything you have ever eaten in your life.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean for us? When we distill the essence of this guide to the Lemosho route, it reveals itself as the ultimate exercise in patience.
Patience is definitely the key word.
By being willing to trade just a little extra time and a bit more money for an 8-day itinerary, you get the absolute best scenery, you avoid the chaotic early crowds, and you give your biology the crucial acclimatization time it needs.
So you can actually enjoy standing on the summit rather than just surviving it.
Precisely.
Patience truly is the defining characteristic of a successful mountaineer. And the source material leaves us with a fascinating little detail that invites a broader reflection.
What detail is that?
The text briefly mentions something called the Northern Circuit. It describes it as the even longer, quieter cousin of the Lemosho route, designed for climbers who want maximum acclimatization and virtually zero crowds.
Wait, even longer than 8 days?
Yes, often 9 or 10 days on the mountain. And this raises an incredibly compelling thought for me.
I'm intrigued. What is it?
Well, we live in a modern world that is utterly obsessed with efficiency. Everything is about doing things faster, cheaper, and quicker.
Oh, definitely. We want life hacks and shortcuts for everything.
Yet Mount Kilimanjaro stands as a profound, undeniable counterargument to that mindset. The mountain proves, with absolute physiological certainty, that the highest success rates belong to those who are willing to take the longest, slowest path possible.
Wow, that is a brilliant takeaway. It really forces you to look at your own habits.
Exactly. It leaves us with a question worth mulling over long after this deep dive ends. In a world constantly telling you to speed up, where else in your life might slowing down actually be the secret to reaching the top?